Good morning. Welcome to the remote services of the Unitarian Universalist Meeting House of Provincetown, where we affirm the worth and dignity of all beings. This morning, our own Reverend Kate is away on a much-needed break. We will be hearing the words of Bruce de St. Croix, a longtime member and past president of the Meeting House, and a dear friend. We always look forward to Bruce's sharing. And now, I invite you to light a candle with me. In this way, we can be connected, even though we are apart. Walkers with the Dawn by Langston Hughes. Being walkers of the dawn and morning, walkers with the sun and morning, we are not afraid of night, nor days of gloom, nor darkness, being walkers with the sun and morning.
Love is the spirit of this meeting house. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Walking Meditation by Thich Nhat Hanh. Many of us walk for the sole purpose of getting from one place to another. Now suppose we are walking to a sacred place. We would walk quietly and take each gentle step with reverence. I propose that we walk this way every time we walk on the earth. The earth is sacred, and we touch her with each step. We should be very respectful because we are walking on our mother. If we walk like that, then every step will be grounding and every step will be nourishing. Each mindful breath, each mindful step reminds us that we are alive on this beautiful planet. We don't need anything else. It is wonderful enough just to be alive, to breathe in and to make one step. We have arrived at where real life is available, the present moment. If we breathe and walk this way, we become as solid as a mountain.
This week's prayer is a translation of a Navajo prayer and blessing. In beauty I walk. In beauty all day long may I walk. Through the returning seasons may I walk. On the trail marked with pollen may I walk. With dew about my feet may I walk. With beauty before me may I walk. With beauty behind me may I walk. With beauty below me may I walk. With beauty above me may I walk. With beauty all around me may I walk.
My feet, while I run this race, guide my feet, while I run this race, guide my feet, while I run this race, for I don't want to run this race in vain, race in vain. Hold my hand, while I run this race, hold my hand, while I run this race, hold my hand, while I run this race, for I don't want to run this race in vain, race in vain. Stand by me, while I run this race, stand by me, while I run this race, stand by me, while I run this race, for I don't want to run this race in vain, race in vain. Search my heart, while I run this race, search my heart, while I run this race, search my heart, while I run this race, for I don't want to run this race in vain, race in vain.
Good morning. Learning to walk. When I was still an infant that could crawl but not yet walk, my mother would plunk me down into the old, decorated with beads, wooden dowel-sided, collapsible playpen that all 7 of her children would use as their first play enclosure. Now my mom, like many new moms of her generation, relied on the book, the common sense book of baby and child care by Dr. Benjamin Spock. In it, he laid out many things, including what a baby should be doing developmentally at what age. And although the famous first line of the book reads, "Trust yourself, you know more than you think you do," early on, my mom was still nervous, mostly alone, and took his suggestions very seriously. My mom told me many times that I was a good but determined baby. When she would look in on me in the playpen, she often found me standing by having hauled myself up using the dowels of the playpen, and she would hurriedly plunk me back down because she was sure that standing too early would lead to me being bow-legged. Although she had good intentions, my first attempts at learning to walk were thwarted repeatedly. Let me take you quickly through the next 65 years. As a kid, I walked and ran everywhere. I could balance on the top rail of chain link fences and climb trees and onto garage roofs with ease. In junior high, I was on the long distance running team. And in high school, I switched to the hurdles. I was one of those kids who needed to be moving all the time. Then from 19 to 30, I began my career as a professional dancer, ending up in well-known, modern dance companies in New York City. In those years, when I got injured, usually a sprained ankle, I, like everyone else, just taped it up and kept on dancing and walked it off, never imagining future consequences. I never got a driver's license until I was 34, nor owned a car or truck till my mid-40s. When I first arrived in town during the AIDS epidemic, I walked from homes in the West End to homes in the East End, helping the folks who were sick and dying, although I walked more slowly due to my own AIDS condition. Even then, I had a large dog and hiked long distances on beaches and in the woods, and those walks with dear friends or alone became part of my spiritual practice. The Lower Cape's natural beauty was a soothing, healing force, and walking was the thread that held my days together. But by 65, walking had become difficult and painful, and I was told by my doctor that I needed surgery on both ankles. One was in critical condition and the other serious. And for the first time since childhood, I was about to embark on learning to walk again 3 times in 5 years. It was a daunting and a bit frightening reality to face. The left ankle was fused with 3 large screws. Then I was put in a cast and stayed in a hospital bed in my living room. I was allowed no weight bearing for 3 months. Then I was put in a boot, then a brace, and lots of physical therapy, learning to walk again. Finally, my doctors said, "Okay, you can walk without a brace." I was elated. But that afternoon, on beginning my first support-free dog walk, I was suddenly in excruciating pain. Then they found that my 2 leg bones, the tibia and fibula, had broken. So I was back in a cast and the hospital bed, no weight bearing for 3 months, then the boot, physical therapy, and into a brace and learning to walk again. Now it was time to deal with the right ankle. And this time a full ankle replacement was recommended. And because of its complexity, absolutely no weight bearing for almost 4 months. So I was back in the hospital bed and a cast in the living room, then the boot, physical therapy, and learning to walk for the 3rd time. But you know, sometimes life seems to me to almost have a wry and wise sense of humor as it juxtaposes the events in my life. Through all the surgeries, hospital beds, and striving to learn to walk, life actually presented me with a beautiful gift and interesting lesson. I live in a small, close-knit neighborhood, and my neighbor Jen across the street during these years gave birth to 2 sons a little more than 2 years apart. And as I lay healing and learning, I was able to watch the beauty and almost magic of 2 youngsters over those years begin to crawl, become toddlers, learn to walk, to run, and now to ride bicycles. And they did not need a team of therapists. It began about 6 months before my first surgery. I had left my house to get in my car, to drive to Hyannis, to meet the wonderful doctor who was to be my surgeon. That was when I noticed that the front of the house across the street was festooned with bunches of blue balloons and shiny blue and silver streamers. Jen had delivered her first baby boy. Life is all about learning. Sometimes learning even before we know that we are learning or why we need to learn. It is amazing how nature guides us and nudges us to learn to walk long before we even learn to talk. Walking is one of our earliest forays into early independent learning. And for me, who was about to learn to walk again several times, here I was watching two toddlers, one after the other, learn to walk for the first time while I was immobilized repeatedly for 4 years. They inspired me, not with the mechanics of walking, but with the desire, perseverance, and willingness to fail and succeed, and still continue to learn their newfound skills. It was going to take a lot to learn to walk as an adult with atrophied muscles, artificial joints, and a changing center of gravity. Relearning how to balance, to be on one foot, having two quite different ankles, catching myself after a stumble, and then increasing strength and speed would be just some of the challenges. But when watching these boys develop solutions and skills, I was fascinated. I remember laughing with joy while watching the determination of the younger brother break into his first run, nearly falling with each awkward step, trying to catch up with his older brother. I was reminded of what we can do when we are fearless and joyfully plowing forward into new territory, when we choose to keep learning. I still have a long way to go, and some things I will never be able to do again. But once again, I now fill my soul and strengthen my body as I take long dog walks on woodland trails and hills to climb, and steep descents, replete with roots and obstacles, once again with my dear friends. This year, I was able to spend 2 weeks on a friend's island in down East Maine, and carried firewood, and got into and out of boats, and swam again, though not very gracefully. During 2 of my 3 stints in outpatient physical therapy, I would often cross paths with a dear friend, Cricket, Betty Comey. She would pass on her latest quip to me, like, "Bruce, they're not physical therapists, they're physical terrorists." Or, "This stuff's not for sissies." And between the adventurous toddlers and this friend who is in her 90s, I was constantly being reschooled, reminded to keep learning. Learning is what we are made for before we even know what learning is. And learning is what we are made for as we face challenges and new adventures throughout our lives. If we are lucky, we welcome those changes and new experiences, even if they come with struggles, setbacks, and stumbles. Learning, even if it is painful, will always be a source of joy in my life. It is the open door through which life beckons. There is a proverb, after all: curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Many professions and philosophies now recommend new learning as a means of staying healthy and vital as we age. Myself, I find that life is always offering us new opportunities to learn, grow, and change through both the good times and the difficult times. I'm going to end today with 2 quotes, each from 2 women I admire and who have become heroes for me. They have some interesting parallels with each other's lives, which are important to me. Although they both had frightfully difficult childhoods, they both went on to become internationally known award-winning artists. They were both early civil rights activists. Eartha Kitt was under surveillance by the CIA as early as 1956 for her activism opposing the Vietnam War at a White House luncheon. and for creating an organization supporting urban youth in the Watts area of LA, and also in speaking before congressional hearings, finally winning funding for the DC youth organization Rebels with a Cause. Maya Angelou worked to support Malcolm X, and after his assassination, Dr. Angelou began working with Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. to promote the Southern Christian Leadership Conference through her role as Northern Coordinator. They both vigorously supported the fight for LGBTQ rights and openly supported gay marriage. They were both brilliant. But I have chosen to include them, not just for their wisdom, but for the little-known fact that they both had early careers as modern dancers. Eartha was a member of the first Black modern dance company started by Katherine Dunham. And Maya studied with Martha Graham and danced with Alvin Ailey. And because of the rigors of professional dance in their youths, like myself, they suffered physical pain as they aged. Maya's son even referred to his mother's constant pain from her early dance years in his mother's eulogy. And yet, despite hardships and fame, they both spoke to us earnestly of life and learning. Maya Angelou said, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." Eartha Kitt is quoted as saying, "I support gay marriage because we're asking for the same thing. If I have a partner and something happens to me, I want my partner to enjoy the benefits that we would have reaped together. It's a civil rights thing, isn't it?" Maya Angelou answered in an interview about her writing, "Nothing so frightens me as writing, but nothing so satisfies me." And lastly, from Eartha Kitt, "I'm learning all the time. The tombstone will be my diploma." So, come learn to walk with me. Keep stepping through the open doorway and learn something new and unknown. Let us accept the next challenge that life offers us to learn and continue to grow till our stories are finished. Amen, and blessed be.